Cyprus and Greece have held a joint press conference in Jerusalem where they reiterated their commitment to cooperation in order to achieve stability in the region and beyond. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel has agreed to deepen security cooperation with Greece and Cyprus. The Greek Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, and Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulides have emphasized cooperation in the fields of connectivity, energy, and security. Meanwhile, let's listen into what the leaders have shared.
We need today to deepen our security and defense cooperation. The threats we face are real. Together, we're defending not only our own nations, but vital sea lanes and critical infrastructure that the global economy depends on.
We discuss defense and security cooperation. We can do much more, and we'll do so. Also, within the 3+1 framework, recognizing at the same time that much more can be achieved in the fields of counterterrorism, cyber, and energy security, always in support of regional stability.
Stand ready to contribute to the day after through diplomacy and stabilization efforts. I think we're a country that is well respected in the region, and should there be an opportunity to play this role, we will certainly embrace it.
Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Sacha Machta. He's a political commentator, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Mr. Machta, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now,
good to see you too.
Thank you. Now, looking at these three countries, what is the motive behind these three countries' cooperation, and what are the strategic interests that's driving these three countries together?
This is not the first trilateral meeting between Israel, Cyprus, and Greece. They've had over 10 meetings in the past decade, and before, originally they were made to focus on energy, on Israeli oil, and on Eastern Mediterranean waters, all in the framework of energy cooperation. Of course, in the past years, especially since the October 7th war began, these actual meetings for energy turned into more of an opportunity to also discuss the elephant in the room, which was Turkey. Turkey is a common threat to both of these three nations, whether to Israel in Syria and in Gaza, where Turkey is trying to establish a presence in these two critical areas on Israel's borders, and of course through their backing of Hamas and their ideological support for the atrocities of October 7th, whether it's in Cyprus that they've been occupying the northern part of Cyprus since 1974, or Greece, where they've had historical feuds, of course, and conflicts over the sea borders, where the sea limits reach for each country, and of course energy control. They have a troubled relationship, Turkey, with each of these three countries, and the threat is growing. The analysis is that Turkey hopes to and aspires to reestablish the Ottoman Empire, and they have expansionist ambitions. So this is something that Israel is actively working to stop and to deter, which is why it's so important to meet with Greece and Cyprus, which are our two main allies in this slow struggle against a NATO state, Turkey, which on one side is of course in NATO and has a Western hat. On the other side, they are basically committing everything that Israel is accused of, whether in the past the genocide in Armenia, whether now the occupation of northern Cyprus, or their oppression of the Kurds, and of course most recently their expansionist ambitions to reestablish the Ottoman Empire, and this must be stopped. So we saw a transition from energy cooperation purely to more security-focused dialogue, with reports even going around, not confirmed, but reports going around that they're supposed to establish and looking to establish a joint cooperation force between the three countries.
Thank you for laying it out all there. And Mr. Machta, so you know, as you mentioned, that these three countries have a shared enemy or interest. What challenges might arise in turning these commitments that they make on energy, connectivity, security into concrete outcomes?
Of course, one of the main issues with dealing with Turkey is that it's a NATO country. It's a U.S. ally. So it's very complicated to, on one hand, boost security cooperation and establish a joint security force to counter the Turkish threat, while also navigating with the fact that they are relatively in a strong position on the international arena. And we're going to have to see how it transitions from just energy, which is something that is not seen as much of a threat around the region, especially to Turkey, to actual defense cooperation. Of course, Turkey has already taken a side and has taken a position against Israel, against Cyprus, against Greece historically, but even more now. Erdogan, when he entered, I remind the viewers that he appeared to be more of a pragmatic leader, a more liberal-minded. He was talking about the LGBTQ community, about protection, and slowly he's turning in Turkey into a more radicalized country, a more Islamic ruled country. A lot of people talk about, and there's a famous saying that Iran will be the new Turkey and Turkey will be the new Iran. And this is a little bit telling of the slow revolution that has been undergoing in Turkey with Erdogan, of course, with no freedoms for the minorities, with the harsh treatment of the Kurds, with the democratic backsliding that's been undergoing. So how are we going to counter this threat while also understanding that they're a NATO country? This is going to be the main challenge facing us. But of course, with challenge also comes great opportunity. There's an opportunity to establish the IMEC, the Israel-Middle East, India-Middle East corridor, and it would have a great potential from India to build a corridor that bypasses all of these enemy waters, that bypasses the Yemenis water, where the Houthis have been actively interfering with global supply, and this would create an opportunity to create this corridor between India and the Middle East, passing through Israel, Cyprus, and Greece into Europe. So the opportunities are there. It's just going to be how the threat of Turkey is going to be countered without actually risking a confrontation.
Thank you very much. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Sasha Machta for joining us from Tel Aviv and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move